Why Iraq? Why now?
We discussed that already, Coleman.
We had America protected September 11th. That is, if people had been doing their jobs right. But we blew it. And now, instead of taking down these 10,000 Al-Qaeda lunatics in the mountains of Pakistan with special operations, we're way outside of the box on this thing. Why are we trusting the system? Why have we veered off to this place where we accept without debate that preemptive strike on Iraq can defeat terrorism better than police action or intel agencies that actually share information? I just don't get it, Mr. President. I don't. Because I am a soldier. And I'd be mighty sure before I put young American lives at risk. Here we are.
Okay.
Please, here we are.
Tonight, President Trump weighing a range of options in Iran after declaring the U.S. stands ready to help Iranians who are flooding the streets, protesting the government. 3 U.S. officials with knowledge of conversations tell NBC News the president has been presented with preliminary plans, from potential strikes to other options that would not include military action. So far, the Pentagon has not moved major assets to the region. President Trump would first need to make a difficult decision, though he ruled out putting boots on the ground.
Whatever action we're going to take, Mr. President, needs to embolden the protesters and scare the hell out of the regime.
David Lightman was a master at computer games, a fast thinker.
Oh, David! Maybe you could tell us who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex.
Your wife?
Get out, Lightman.
And a promising student at an old game.
Hi.
With an electronic twist.
Those your grades?
Yeah. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
You can go to jail for that.
Only if you're over 18.
This computer company is coming out with these amazing new games in a couple of months.
And I want to play those games. Wow.
What?
We got something.
He found the right code word to play the game.
We're in.
But it was the wrong computer.
Shall we play a game?
How can I ask you that?
How about global thermonuclear war?
Fine.
All right.
What the hell? They're trajectory headings for multiple impact re-entry vehicles.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it's great.
All stations, this is Crystal Palace.
I wonder if I should use my subs.
22 Typhoon-class submarines departing Petropavlovsk.
What in the hell's happening here?
Oh my God.
Shall we play?
I have 7, correction 8. That's 8 Redbirds. Get on the sack. Tell them to flush the bombers.
Russians are still denying everything, sir.
Who are you working with?
Nobody.
I don't have to believe you.
Overday, we have Soviet missile warning.
Placed under arrest pending indictment for espionage.
Espionage?
Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high.
Cobra Dane, is this an exercise?
Negative, this is not an exercise.
Made the president on the horn.
It's still playing the game. It's gonna start a war.
Close up the mouth.
Is this a game or is it real?
War games. Playing soon. At a theater near you.
Shall we play?
Let me finish. Here we are, changing the whole way we do business. In response to a small but dedicated enemy hiding out in caves and jungles. We losing our perspective here?
Change of perspective.
If I were you, Mr. President, I would kill the leadership that are killing the people.
But not everyone is on board for a military move in Iran.
But I don't know that bombing Iran will have the effect that is intended.
The top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Panel also warning U.S. intervention in Iran could backfire.
I think when we mess with the internal dynamics of a country like Iran, which is extraordinarily complex, we ought to do that carefully.
After striking Venezuela 1 week ago, President Trump has also threatened military action in Colombia and Mexico.
Trade Center was bombed in 93. Had a huge attack on Oklahoma in 95. And those who did it are in jail or dead.
Big difference. Oklahoma terrorists didn't have anthrax or nukes.
And then on top of that, as you know, the world right now is spiraling out of control. You might not have seen what's happened because it was a few hours ago. A lot of people were here. There's so many people outside, which we appreciate. But a lot of people were here a short time ago. Iran launched 181 ballistic missiles at Israel. And I've been talking about World War III for a long time.
And overnight urged Cuba to make a deal before it is too late. And he's eyeing Greenland as his next target, warning of a U.S. takeover, instructing his top officials to meet with Danish counterparts in the coming days.
It would be the end of NATO, right? I mean, NATO would have an obligation to defend Greenland.
And as Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela's former regime leader, sits in a New York City jail cell, President Trump is pushing oil executives for a $100 billion investment.
Citizens of Israel, first of all, I would like to extend my condolences to the families of those who were murdered in the atrocious terror attack in Jaffa and wish for a speedy recovery of those who were wounded. Just like in the missile attack, there's a guided hand behind this terror attack as well, a murderous one coming from Tehran.
And is gearing up to meet face-to-face with opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, expected in Washington this week.
Hallie, the Senate is expected to decide this week whether to limit the Trump administration's future actions in Venezuela. It would still need to pass the House, but I'm told President Trump is not happy about it, placing calls to the 5 Republicans who support it, even screaming at one.
In Risk, the world is your battlefield. You are the general, leading armies across borders, conquering everything in your path to take over not just a country, but the entire world.
That part of what makes our country great is that our membership is based not on our bloodline, not on what we look like, what our last names are. It's not based on where our parents or grandparents came from or how recently they arrived, but on adherence to a common creed.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump, we're all cut from the same cloth.
Sega.
My enemies are many, my equals are none. In the shade of olive trees, they said Italy could never be conquered. In the land of pharaohs and kings, they said Egypt could never be humbled. In the realm of forest and snow, they said Russia could never be tamed. Now they say nothing. They fear me, like a force of nature, a dealer in thunder and death. I say, I am Napoleon. I am Emperor.
This evening, Iran once again launched an attack on Israel with dozens of missiles, but the attack failed. It was thwarted thanks to Israel's air defense system, which is the most advanced in the world, and I would like to congratulate the IDF for this impressive achievement. It was also thwarted thanks to the responsibility and alertness displayed by you, citizens of Israel. I wish to also thank the U.S. for its support of our defensive effort. Iran made a major mistake this evening, and it will pay for it. The regime in Iran just doesn't understand understand our determination to defend ourselves and our determination to retaliate to our enemies. Sinwar and Def did not understand that. Nasrallah and Muhsin did not understand that. And I guess there are those who do not understand that in Tehran. Here to the rule that we set for ourselves. Those who attack us, we attack them. And that's true wherever we fight, when we fight the axis of evil. It's true for Judea and Samaria, it's true for Gaza, for Lebanon, for Yemen, Syria, and it's also true for Iran. We are fighting the axis of evil.
Went to Iraq, calling up the flag. No turning back to our dead, just attacking bomb Iran. Bomb, 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 Iran, Iran, bomb, bomb, Iran. They're accepting me and you, you're not accepted to a bomb Iran. Bomb, 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 Iran.
Everywhere, including our courageous soldiers who are now in action in Gaza and in southern Lebanon. Today, more than ever, the forces of light in the world must unite and act together against the dark regime of Ayatollahs, which is the source of terror and evil in our region. They must stand with Israel. The choice has never been clearer between tyranny and freedom.
Colin, I swear. Beginning to sound like Neville Chamberlain.
No, don't patronize me, Mr. Five Deferments. You saved that for your speeches to veterans groups. Neville Chamberlain now.
You think, really, you think with all your diplomatic bullshit that you can appease Islamic fascists who are as nuts as Hitler? You want to know what I see, Mr. President? I see a world where in about 25 years, America's reserves are gone. Done. Demand is up 30-40%, and we have 2 oceans blocking us from the world reserves. You think we're going to have allies then? We're at 5% of the world's population. We use 25% of its energy. You think Russia and China are going to help us out when they need those resources themselves? 80% of the world's future energy reserves are right here in Eurasia, where the prize ultimately lies. Oil, gas, water. Iraq alone, 10% of the world's reserves. 60 of 80 oil fields are still undeveloped.
And probably another 100 billion gallons in their western desert. They're floating in a sea of oil.
We have bases in more than 120 countries all over the world. We include Iraq. Look what happens. We are at the fertile choke point of civilization. The Tigris-Euphrates, the biblical cradle. We drain the swamp, like Don says. We rebuild it. We develop its resources to the maximum.
They own it, we run it. Pipelines, sea lanes, their resources finance the reconstruction.
Nexus of power that won't be broken in our lifetime, if we stick to the plan.
So what is our real exit strategy on Iraq, Dick?
There is no exit. We stay.
After 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who had used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq."
This is the Beard of Doom rocket? This is my weapon?
I will be a laughingstock. All my friends have got nuclear weapons, even Ahmadinejad, and he looks like a snitch on Miami Vice. Where is the head of my nuclear program and procurer of women? Where is nuclear Nadal?
You had Nadal executed, Supreme Leader. Why did I do that?
Supreme Leader. Nadal. We are just months away from refining weapons-grade uranium, and we are set to test the missile next week.
It is too round on the top. It needs to be pointy. Round is not scary. Pointy is scary. This will put a smile on the faces of the enemy. They will think that it is a huge robot's dildo flying towards them.
2, 1, take.
Go, New Shepard, go! Vehicle is at its maximum. The toughest point in flight for the vehicle.
Colonel, you better take a look at this radar.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant dick.
Yeah. Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, where?
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Private! Wang! Pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Willie. Yeah. What's that? Well, it looks like a giant... Johnson. Yes, sir. Get on the horn to British intelligence and let them know about...
Vehicle is at its maximum. The toughest point in flight for...
No, Supreme Leader, the shape of the missile top has nothing to do with aerodynamics. It is about the payload delivery.
No, it sticks in the ground and then kaboom.
Supreme Leader, I think perhaps some of your information about bombs is coming from cartoons.
Nonsense. I have been watching research films.
In this film, just one question, was there a duck who, when the explosion happens, his bill goes around the back of his head, and then in order to talk, he has to put it back this way?
There was somebody who suffered a deformity like that, yeah.
Okay.
Disney's Donald Duck is usually seen in a pretty foul mood. Foul mood. Okay, yeah, that was terrible, but just bear with me. Some people may think he's just angry all the time, but he's really not. Donald actually has a pretty upbeat outlook on life. That is, until something comes along to ruin it. However, his short fuse is what people know him for, which makes sense since he was created to balance out that goody two-shoes mouse, Mickey. In fact, Donald is kind of a shield for Mickey. He does all the grimy, violent things that Disney won't allow Mickey to take part in. Oh, kind of like how I do all the research nobody else here wants to do, straight from the desk of Death Battle. Although, unlike Donald, I was never in the army. That's right, folks. Donald Fauntleroy Duck, what a middle name, right? Joined the military, which probably gave him a whole host of issues. At the beginning of World War II, with the government investing heavily into propaganda, of course they asked resident magic maker Walt Disney to join the party. But honestly, there's gotta be a better way to inspire the youths of America to join the service, because some of this stuff is seriously freaky. The 6-episode series starts heartwarmingly enough. Donald decides to join the army in hopes of becoming a pilot. Which, okay, first off, the army? Really? Why is he not joining the Navy? I mean, he already wears a sailor outfit. I guess the government thought an amphibious bird in an amphibious car wouldn't be as entertaining as a bird trying to be a pilot. Anyway, the poor duck gets poked and prodded by a faceless group of army doctors, and soon enough, Donald is marched into the ground by army life, partially through literal marching. Because this is supposed to be a teaching moment for the kids, Donald decides to blow off some steam by going AWOL! Until he gets caught by Sergeant Pete and falls into a hole that perfectly fits his duck-sized behind, which makes Donald and Pete think that Donald's lost his legs. You know, Lieutenant Dan.
Well, you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
What happens next is where things get real dark. Donald is so distraught that he takes Pete's pistol and threatens to kill himself. My God, look at his face! Kids saw this! And how does Pete respond? He tells him to do it over there, behind the bushes. Wait, what? In what scenario is a superior officer endorsing this? I think we took a wrong turn somewhere and went from Disney to Tarantino.
He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
We'll have to see a tour of duty 3. They make it the shaft, and you know we'll have to grab the bomb around, bomb, bomb, bomb,
I am now 100% sure that you are watching cartoons.
Indulge me. For 1 second, pretend that I'm an idiot.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay. You know what? Let's just agree to disagree, my friend.
Okay.
What? Why? No! Don't you remember? Of course I remember! How dare you question my memory? I remember everything!
Oh, no, I would never do that. Never. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that.
Don't worry. It's fine. Well done, my friend.
Thank you.
Wait. They got the news, you know the news. Nothing left to do.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
I'm not gonna stand, but give up the Taliban. Hey, at least it's from the stand, and that's enough to make a plan to bomb Iran. Bomb Iran. You're coming if you're down, and my time is running out. Bomb Iran. 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 Bomb Iran.
Right after almost, killing himself, Donald is sent out on a solo mission behind enemy lines. Yeah, because sending a mentally compromised soldier out on an important mission without getting him help is really just the best idea in the world. Yeah, do that. This episode shows not only a host of awful Japanese caricatures, but also Donald destroying an entire Japanese military base. So keep in mind the next time you look into Donald's eyes, remember, he's taken countless human lives.
Bomb Iran, bomb. Anyway,
I would be launching airstrikes not only in Iraq, but in Syria.
Bomb Iran.
Aid to the Contras.
Bomb Iran.
Aid to the Contras.
When I search John McCain on YouTube, the biggest thing that comes up is you singing Bomb, 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 Iran. 744,000 hits, in case you haven't checked it recently. Are you proud or embarrassed of that?
I'm proud. Look, when I'm in the company of veterans, which I was, and one of them says to me, when are you going to send a message to Iran?
Bomb Iran? Bomb. Anyway,
when veterans are together, veterans joke. And I was with veterans and we were joking. And if somebody can't understand that, my answer is please get a life.
Bomb Iran? Bomb. Anyway,
I remember John McCain, saying bomb Iran. I thought that was funny, but
Donald's awful experiences in the military probably contributed to just how bad his temper is nowadays. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say the Duck's likely got some PTSD from his time in the service. Let me give you an example. Before the war, in a comic strip called Familiar Profile, Donald sets up a trap for whoever has been raiding his fridge. Only to find out it was himself, sleepwalking. What a wacky misunderstanding. After the war, in a 1945 comic issue, he found himself in the exact same situation. Only this time, Donald immediately blames his nephews, and when he's interrupted in the middle of his sleepwalking, thanks to some strategically placed firecrackers, he thinks he's back in the war! Donald chases after his nephews with a curtain rod for a bayonet and calls them all sorts of racial slurs. And his nephews just laugh it off. It was a different time, a very, very different time. Like, oh hey kids, how about getting your dear old uncle some help?
Mental health issues affect people of all ages, income levels, and cultures. No one is immune. Advocate for and promote mental well-being in your life and to those around you. You're not alone. The more you know.
And I don't want to make predictions because the predictions always come true. We're not going to make, but they are very close to global catastrophe. We have a non-existent president and a non-existent vice president who should be in charge, but nobody knows what's going on. She was at a fundraiser in San Francisco. They're incompetent. We can't have another 4 years. We can't have another 4 years of what we went through. It's embarrassing. The whole world is laughing at us. That's why Israel was under attack just a little while ago, because they don't respect our country anymore. The so-called enemy doesn't respect our country any longer. They don't. And, you'll get it back soon, I hope. Thank you.
All right, so we have a Drudge headline. Trump pulls out of Iran deal. I'm waiting here for the live report, but what we know is that what you have in the Iran deal, right, and what you're going to have here, since it's coming out that Trump is pulling out, right, of the Iran deal, is that you had this Mason give to these Masons over here, the Iranian CIA mullahs. You had these Masons giving money to one another. You had him giving billions of dollars to his Jewish Masonic bros, quote unquote, in Iran. Now probably what you're going to have is you're going to have this Mason giving to his foreign policy initiative bros over here at what was formerly known as PNAC. You guys remember PNAC? Project for a New American Century, right? The Bush doctrine that shut down in 2006. I believe it was because the name PNAC, right, wasn't a good thing, but what happened was that they changed it to Foreign Policy Initiative. Initiation, this word right here is very closely tied to what Masonic dogma is, right? Initiation, initiative, same kind of word here, etymologically. And that's what you're going to have in Trump's speech. Apparently it's already been leaked out. We're waiting here for the video to start, but starting soon. Never starts on time. But Drudge is already saying Trump pulls out of Iran deal, right? So we know this is what's going on here. So really it doesn't really matter too much what Trump is saying, because what you have is you have money going to shifting from the Iranian Masonic mullahs to the Foreign Policy Initiative mullahs, you could say, the Islamic hierarchy of Shriners that are probably filling this place right here. Look at it here. The United States and China bonding over North Korea, and then all kinds of headlines here in this Foreign Policy Initiative website. Look at down here. It's already been released. Trump is preparing for another Gulf conflict. So more warmongering, more wars at taxpayer expense is what we're going to hear from Trump. And by the time this video has come out, you've already heard it. But really, this is what was going on here, that some Masons were getting some money, and then it's probably all spread around. But, remember they telegraphed that they imploded this building over there that was sort of like a mall, I believe it was. And it was so obvious that they were telegraphing that they were doing basically the same thing. They imploded the whole building like they did on 9/11, right? And this is supposed to make a difference over here, that Trump is going to take money away from Iranians and give it to other Masons, right? One Mason group giving to another Mason group, and they say, well, they're liberal Masons and conservative Masons, supposedly, right? It's a big lie. You guys know we've talked about that. We just reported on that. They're all swearing death oaths, right? They all swore the same death oaths. They do the same hand signs. You see it right here, hands crossed. He's doing the finger up. And actually, this is, right now, they're telegraphing it, right? Finger up, duping smile. He doesn't care for you. He only cares about his slave masters. And, of course, the fingers crossed, the X sign. This is the pedophile hand sign right here, right? Plate X we just reported on, right? There it is, plate X. Hands in an X. And the rest of the headlines say, Israeli army on high alert. Masonic Kabbalistic army is on high alert. Iran president warns of problems. Well, there are always problems with you people because you Masons all have mental disorders. It is a mental disease to enslave yourself to a secret society. Fateful days of the Middle East. You'll probably hear Paul Begley go, well, Damascus is going to be destroyed. It's got to be destroyed 1,000,000 times before their fake Left Behind Project for a New American Century fake prophecy gets fulfilled, right? Which is not being fulfilled because the book of Revelation is not being fulfilled right now. It doesn't mean that the book of Revelation is not biblical, but no one has the final word on what that is. Jerusalem to name city square in Trump's honor. So they're going to flatter this Mason right over here, give him flatteries, and while they fake that, they didn't like this guy and what he was doing over here with the fake controlled opposition of the Masonic mullahs, so it just goes on and on, the fakeries and the lies. I know right now they're listening to me as I'm waiting for the press conference to start, and they're saying, well, he just, got done talking and exposing our dirty deeds. Well, no, it's the Bible that exposed you, because the Bible says right over here in Psalms 120, it says, my soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. I like the way the New American Standard says it in our English vernacular. Too long has my soul had its dwelling with those who hate peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. So let's listen in. It's started. Here we're getting the official lowdown. The warmongering Masons. Let's put up a few more symbols about what's really going on here. The Jesuits right above his head would probably be a good place. Of course, this fakery right here, right? No difference in the Gnosticism of the cult of Masonry. What's the difference? Really no difference, right?
My fellow Americans, today I want to update the world on our efforts to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. The
Just
Iranian
abolish the
regime
CIA, then.
is the leading state sponsor of terror.
It's all
It
fake, it's
exports
lies.
dangerous missiles, fuels conflicts across the Middle East,
Sure.
and supports terrorist proxies. And
You mean
militias
Masonic proxies.
such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Taliban, and Al-Qaeda. Over the years, Iran and its proxies have bombed American embassies and military installations.
No difference.
Murdered hundreds of American service members and kidnapped, imprisoned, and tortured
You
American
see the Masonic hand sign there?
The Iranian regime has funded its long reign of chaos and terror.
It's actually the same
by
one he does,
plundering the
right? When he
wealth
does the
of its own people. No
square.
action taken by the regime has been more dangerous than its pursuit of nuclear weapons and the means of delivering them. In 2015, the previous administration joined with other nations in a deal regarding Iran's nuclear program. This agreement was known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. In theory, the so-called Iran deal was supposed to protect the United States and our allies from the lunacy of an Iranian nuclear bomb, a
Masonic
weapon that
lunacy,
will
yeah,
only
sure.
endanger the survival of the Iranian regime.
Not buying it.
In fact, the deal allowed Iran to continue enriching uranium and, over time, reach the brink of a nuclear breakout.
Oh, but you Masons were the ones that
deal
created
lifted
the nuclear bomb,
crippling
right?
Economic sanctions
You warmongering
on Iran
Masons, sure.
in exchange for very weak limits on the regime's nuclear activity and no limits at all on its other malign behavior, including its sinister activities in Syria, Yemen, and other places all around the world.
That the CIA controls, sure.
In other
yeah.
words, at the point when the United States had maximum leverage, this disastrous deal
All globalist
gave
symbols
this
right here.
regime, and it's a regime of great terror. Many
It might as well be
billions
Henry
of
Kissinger
dollars,
talking right now.
Some of it in actual cash. A great embarrassment to me as a citizen and to all citizens of the United States.
How could you be embarrassed when he just gave money to your Masonic bros?
Easily have
Which
been
is what you
struck
do, right?
At the time, but it wasn't. At the heart of the Iran deal was a giant fiction that a murderous regime desired only a
fiction.
peaceful nuclear energy program. Today, we
Rothschild's
have
Concordia
definitive proof
industry.
that this Iranian promise was a lie. Last week, Israel published intelligence documents long concealed by Iran, conclusively showing the Iranian regime and its history
Oh, there's the hand
of
sign,
pursuing
of course.
nuclear weapons. The fact is, this was a horrible one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It
You see,
didn't
it's
bring
always
calm,
a deal, right?
It didn't bring peace, and it never will.
Neither,
In the
neither will
years
you
since the deal
Masons
was
ever
reached,
produce peace.
Iran's military budget
We know
has
that.
grown by almost 40%, while its economy is doing very badly. After the sanctions were lifted, the dictatorship used its new funds to build nuclear-capable missiles, support terrorism, and cause havoc throughout the Middle East and beyond. The agreement was so poorly negotiated that even if Iran fully complies, the regime can still be on the verge of a
I don't see any
nuclear
difference.
breakout in just a short
It's
period
all the same
of time.
Gnosticism, right?
The
The yin and
deal's
yang
sunset
of
provisions are totally
Masonic
unacceptable. If I allowed
cult
this deal
monopolies.
to stand, there would soon be a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Everyone would want their weapons ready by the time Iran had theirs.
You mean like you went and the first thing you did was sell millions and millions and gazillions of dollars to the Saudis? Yeah. An arms race. He's worried about an arms race when he goes and sells nuclear arms. One of the first thing he does, right, in his first years, I documented that in my video, Trump supports terrorism.
Not only does the deal fail to halt Iran's
They're not worried about arms being spread. They spread the arms.
to address the regime's development of ballistic
Our new listeners have to go back and search our channel and look at those videos because we have those documented where he actually went down to Saudi Arabia, right? Some of you might even remember. You remember that video where he went down there and sat with them and he said, oh, it's for the controlled opposition war against Yemen, that the mullahs are in Yemen, right? And they're lobbing bombs from Yemen into Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia back into Yemen. And the Kabbalistic Sabbatean state of Israel goes and lobs a few bombs in there themselves. They want in on the play fun.
I repeated these conditions. I made clear that if the deal could not be fixed, the United States would no longer be a party.
Well, you'll not fix it because your doctrine is order ab cow, right? You Gnostics want to create chaos.
Including France.
Creating chaos, but order never comes.
We have also consulted with our friends.
You guys notice how it's just always chaos everywhere?
We are unified
on the news, fake news.
Understanding of the threat. And
no, we're not unified. I'll never be unified with you Masons. Heck no.
Acquire a nuclear
Sorry, I have to say it the way it is, believing brothers and
After
sisters in the
these
Lord.
consultations, it is clear to me that we cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure.
Again, that's because if they had a nuclear bomb, right, it's not like we wouldn't nuke them if they nuked us, right? The doctrine of nuclear annihilation for both countries that start a nuclear war just doesn't exist, right? That's what I said when I was debunking the same mythological lies when they were saying we cannot allow North Korea to have a nuclear bomb, right? But what's going to happen is the mullahs probably are going to step down after there's war and mayhem and they've killed enough people and bloodshed has been shed everywhere for these wicked Masons that love bloodshed and hate peace. At that point, just like right, step down, it's all timing, right?
The highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States. America will not be held hostage to nuclear
You just have your people hostage to warmongering, taxation without representation wars, globalist wars. We won't be held captive, he says, though we're already captive to all this warmongering and economic jihadi warfare by these wicked Masons.
Today's action
It's all lies.
sends a critical message. The United States no longer makes empty threats. When I make promises, I keep them. In fact,
No, you read scripts.
Secretary Pompeo is on his way to North Korea in preparation for my upcoming meeting with Kim.
With your bro,
Jong-un.
Kim?
Plans are being made. Relationships are building.
This is right here, right? He's the of the United Nations.
With
UN.
the help of China, South Korea, and Japan, a future of great prosperity and security
Masonic
can be achieved
China with
for everyone.
their love for Karl Marx, right?
As we exit the
China
event,
puts a big image right in the government seat of China's Congress, and who's there? They're Jewish overlords, Karl Marx, sitting right in there, right? The Sabbatean himself.
across the Middle East. In the meantime, powerful sanctions
In the
will go
meantime-
into full effect. If the regime continues its nuclear aspirations, it will have bigger problems than it has ever had before.
Oh yeah, you Masons love creating problems, right?
I want
Fake
to deliver a
fake
message
problems.
to the long-suffering people of Iran.
There's your Masonic hand
People of
sign right there.
America stand with you. It has now been
And
almost
this crypto
40
Jew
years
right
since
here
this
works for the
dictatorship seized
CIA. It was
power
put in by the CIA.
and took a proud nation hostage. Most of Iran's 80 million
Who did it?
citizens have sadly never known
The
an
CIA.
Iran that prospered in peace with its neighbors and commanded the admiration of the world. But the future of Iran belongs to its people. They are the rightful heirs to a rich culture and an ancient land, and they deserve a nation that does justice to their dreams, honor to their history, and glory to God. Iran's leaders will naturally say
The vast majority of the
that they
country
refuse
is
to
Muslim. They're not
negotiate
glorifying God.
deal.
They're glorifying
They
a
refuse.
false God.
And that's fine.
A demon
I'd probably say
called
the
Allah.
same thing if I was in their position. But the fact is, they are going
The
to
fact
want to
is,
make
I'm declaring
a
the
new
facts right
and
now.
lasting deal.
That's the facts.
One that benefits all of Iran and the Iranian people. When they do, I am ready, willing, and able. Great things can happen for Iran, and great things can happen for the peace and stability that we all want in the Middle East. There has been enough suffering, death, and destruction. Let it end now.
As above,
Thank
so
you.
below.
God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, let it end. Just quit acting, you know. You Masons, stop acting, you know. Sign the Masonic document. The fakery. All the fake cameras, the rigged news is all their fake cameras, right? Promoting the fake news. They'll say he signed the document. He's the peacemaker.
President, how does this make America safer?
It doesn't.
How does this make America safer?
Thank you very much. This will make America much safer. Thank you very much.
Pompeo bringing the detainees home?
All right, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Secretary Pompeo is right now going to North Korea. He will be there very shortly.
It's been my pleasure to expose this for what it really is. Putting up the symbols to help you get a visual on what's really going on, believing brothers and sisters in the Lord. We are not going to buy into the lies. As the Bible says, let's move these images out of the way. Too long has my soul had its dwelling with those who hate peace. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that what we really feel deep down in our soul? That the endless war on terror, the endless war on fake terror, has gone on too long. Too long. Too long has our soul had its dwelling with those who hate peace. It's beautiful how the Word of God comforts us and gives our soul really the ultimate ally that we need, right? The ultimate ally that we need, and that is God Himself. God is our ally. Our refuge and strength and trust and hope is in Him. We are for peace, but even when we speak, and you know, as I just did with this video, they will say, Order ab cow is their doctrine. They are for war. That's why they promote wars. That's why they have their fake controlled opposition. And there's nothing worse in our country than the Masonic degeneracy of the two-party system, then bringing in fake conspiracy theorists, right? They brought them in with Hillary when she said there's a vast right-wing conspiracy against my husband, the degenerate demolay Bill Clinton. And then now they're bringing in Trump, right? And Trump is the new conspiracy theorist, and his mouthpiece is InfoWars, the warmongering, for they are for war, but we are for peace. But until next time, remember the comfort of God's Word. It understands how you feel. Too long has our soul had its dwelling with those who hate peace.
It's about a year since President
H.R. McMaster is out as National Security Advisor to the Trump administration. On Thursday night, the president announced McMaster's departure and immediately revealed his replacement. Controversial and former U.S. ambassador to the UN and noted foreign policy hawk John Bolton has been selected by the president. There's broad concern that Bolton's hawkish views on Iran, including advocating for direct military action against the country and the tearing up of the nuclear deal on multiple occasions, could be damaging for U.S. foreign relations. Critics are calling the Bolton appointment a betrayal of Trump's base, since he campaigned on a platform of non-intervention.
Deep in the Albanian countryside, a giant complex is under construction. It's the new headquarters of the Mujahedin Khalq, the MEK, a large, well-organized Iranian opposition group dedicated to one thing: regime change in Tehran. And the MEK have powerful friends they hope will help them achieve that, including members of President Trump's inner circle.
The Iranian regime is the leading state sponsor of terror.
When he pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, President Trump signaled the start of a new, more hostile Iran policy. Looking on approvingly, his national security advisor, John Bolton.
Thank you very much.
Before he assumed office, John Bolton was paid to give speeches at pro-MEK events. Here he is in Albania last year.
Delighted that you're all here in Albania. The declared policy of the United States should be regime change in Iran.
A future that Ernest Cline, the writer of the book, envisioned. I was very careful with Ernie collaborating with me every step of the way to be able to find the movie narrative inside this dense forest of Ernie's profound imagination.
The Oasis being the ultimate toy box with all the toys in the world, and then playing that with one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. It results in just amazing action and such a fun adventure.
Ernest Cline is such a visionary, and I think has seen the future before any of us possibly could even imagine it.